Hello there. First, I would like to sincerely thank you for all your comments, your likes, and super thanks. Your support means a lot to me, guys. I'm recording this before April 1st, so I will announce the winner of our previous contest in my next video. But let's have another contest and see who is going to predict Bitcoin's price for July 1st. The winner will receive an analysis of their horoscope, which I believe that is the most important chart in astrology. Before we look at April, I would like to share something interesting with you. A client recently asked ChatGPT to conduct a research comparing all my predictions from 2022 to the present against Bitcoin's historical data. Here are the results. In 2022, that's when I started my channel, my predictions were correct about 45%. In 2023, my predictions were correct roughly 80%. In 24, 83%. And in 2025, from January until March, all these 3 months, the predictions were 100%, maybe not exactly 100%, but it sounds good to me. Let's begin with a brief overview of April, as it includes several key dates worth noting. Although Mercury, the planet of communication, will be retrograding until 7th and Venus until mid-month, the first half of the month is quite positive. From April 6th to the 9th, Venus will form an auspicious angle to both Mars and Uranus. And this is usually a positive sign for the markets in general. Not so much for Bitcoin, though. The first week is a great time for getting things done. Mars will align positively to both Saturn and Uranus, and Mars symbolizes action and effort. Saturn, on the other hand, discipline, and Uranus, new ideas, innovation, and problem solving. With this alignment, you can be sure that your hard work and efforts will pay off. However, from April 6 and 9, these days are not ideal for starting something important or making any new important agreements, as Mercury will be stationary while turning direct. And when planets are stationary, these are the worst times actually. From April 10th to the 15th, Venus will be stationary while turning direct. Now, during these days, it's wise to be a bit cautious with your financial dealings and investments. The second part of April, particularly from the 21st until the end of the month, is challenging. I would say very challenging. Even the full moon on the 13th in Libra and the new moon in Taurus on the 28th suggest a more demanding period. From the 21st until the 24th, the Sun will be in a challenging angle to both Mars and Pluto. They form an aspect called T-square. On one hand, this situation shows strong ambition, but it may also lead to ego conflicts and the desire to be in control. If you like to avoid any tensions with others, I suggest that you try and compromise during these days. Now, from April 24th and 28th, we have the opposition of Mars and Pluto. That's the red arrow on the chart. That's a T-square, but you can see Mars on top and Pluto on the bottom. This planetary angle is known for its volatility, intensity, and potentially triggering significant global events such as leadership changes or more economic instability in certain nations. Mars is pretty strong in Leo, as you know, and this may amplify these developments. On a personal level, this dynamic and explosive aspect tends to provoke conflict, We had this situation before, back in the beginning of January. I mentioned this also last time, that even a joke could go wrong under these circumstances. So you have to be careful. And someone left me a comment last time that he got into trouble just by saying a joke. This applies to everyone, but especially for those born around the days of July 27, January 23rd, October 26th, and April 23rd. Personally, I would delay any major important beginnings until after April. Now let's look at Bitcoin. If you like to know how Bitcoin is expected to perform during the months of May, June, and July, you can order my 3-month predictions for Bitcoin. As I mentioned earlier, I reduced the price by nearly 50%. For more information, you can get in touch with me. My email is in the description. Additionally, you can request your own natal chart and predictions. So, before, I would like to mention once again that this is not a financial advice, and although I practice astrology over 40 years now, yes, I'm getting old, Bitcoin is really hard to predict. April does not appear to be a good month for Bitcoin, well, at least the first part of the month. The first 4 days, there are several challenging angles. I won't mention all the aspects, but just to name few, the Sun will form a challenging angle to Bitcoin's Sun. Pluto remains at the midpoint of Sun and Neptune. And I haven't really noticed any auspicious angle from Venus until the second part of the month. The only positive aspect during this time comes from Pluto to Bitcoin's moon, which might suggest that the price will not dramatically drop. However, I'm not 100% confident about this. On April 9th, the moon forms an auspicious angle to Bitcoin's Mars, but I don't believe this is strong enough to change this situation, because on April 10th, there are some more challenging angles forming. April 11, 12, and 13, we could see a slightly more positive days, but I wouldn't expect much. During these days, there are only a couple of nice angles and quite few challenging angles. The Sun forms an auspicious angle to Neptune, and the Moon forms nice angles to Jupiter, but I don't think that's enough to change the situation, but maybe the price could go sideways. On April 25th, we might receive some positive news, as Mercury, which is the planet of news and information, forms a nice angle to Jupiter. Positive days are from April 18th until the 28th. And this may be because of the good news. During these days, there are few auspicious aspects forming, such as the Sun to Bitcoin's Mars. And after a long time, Venus forms an auspicious angle with Bitcoin's Jupiter. Furthermore, Mars to Bitcoin's Moon and Jupiter to Neptune. At the same time, there are also some challenging angles, but at least there are also positive ones. Another aspect worth mentioning that occurs during the last days of April and extends into early May is the square of Jupiter with Bitcoin's Saturn, and a square is a challenging angle. Jupiter represents expansion, while Saturn limitation and contraction. Additionally, Venus forms a minor challenging angle to both Bitcoin's Venus and Pluto, and these aspects suggest, guys, a possible correction the very last days of the month. And that's all, my friends. Thank you for being here. I wish you a good month. Take care. Bye.